Stonemeyer Games, and I'm here as usual on Wednesday, but today is a special day. Today is not April Fool's Day, but we are starting our April Fool's celebration a little bit early because I do these live casts on Wednesday and we send out our e-newsletters once a month on a Wednesday. So even though it's March 29th, we are starting our April Fool's celebration today. And as has become tradition at Stonemeyer Games, whenever we do one of these April Fool's, celebrations, we create real products that are a little silly, that are a little outside of the types of types of products that we usually make, and we put them on our web store. So that we have real products on our web store today, including this special edition Stonemeyer Games cat-eared T-shirt designed by our web developer and my coworker Joe. It's a dark green Bella canvas T-shirt. It's fitted. It feels really, really nice. This is one of the first times that I've worn it. That's on the web store, along with 3 new promos for Rolling Realms, including probably the most serious of the bunch, the Isle of Cats, because our April Fool's theme is cats. I'll explain why in a second, or more about how we're doing that. So the Isle of Cats, a realm based on the Isle of Cats. Then we have, veering into the outlandish, we have a realm, a mini golf realm, that's based on the mini golf solo game included in Rolling Realms. So it isn't even based on a separate game, it's based on a game within Rolling Realms. And last, we have a realm based purely on my cats, Biddy and Walter. This is the first realm that isn't based on a game at all. It's simply based on our cats. So we have all those up on our web store right now. And with the cat theme, we decided to donate 10% of all proceeds that we earn for all products on our web store, not just these products that I mentioned today, to 3 different cat-related charities. So all web store proceeds through April 1st. So through on Sunday morning, I'll make the donation, basically. We'll go to the Humane Society of Missouri, where I adopted Biddy 16 years ago. It'll go to the Kauai Community Cat Project, which is a wonderful project one of our shareholders is connected to in Hawaii. And it'll go to Panthera to help big cats, a big cat rescue organization. So that's what we're doing for April Fool's today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And it's also e-newsletter day, so I put a link in the description here, and I have it up on my other screen here. I'll go through that e-newsletter a little bit as we're talking. I see I have some people joining us today. George, Tim, Carol. Hey, Mark. Josh, I won't say everybody's name, but thank you all for joining in. Let's see. Oh, and you can also go to our website, and I'll post a link down below. You can see all the past April Fool's products that we've made, some of which are still actually available on our web store. We typically only make them once, but some of them last longer than others. So we have, actually, we've continued to make the disc golf discs from last year. So we have those even more than are showing on that page on our website. There's also a special April Fool's section of our website, our web store that you can just go to. We have some older stuff too that you can check out. Let's see if there's any questions for me to answer. Josh is excited about his copy of Distilled that he just got. That's awesome, Josh. I have a few games actually here that I just got. I'm really excited to play Raw, the new edition of Raw. I just got this yesterday. And then I got Steam up a few days ago and haven't played it yet. I'm hoping to play either or both of these games at game night tonight. Really excited about that. Good morning, Blake. Thanks for popping in. Ian says, am I going to do a teach through of the new realms? So I think what I'll do today, I do have a live play for a round of Rolling Realms today at 3 o'clock Central Time, but people don't actually have these realms yet. And so I think I'll wait for another 2 weeks to do a playthrough of these three realms. So I think in 2 weeks is when I'll actually do a teach and play of them. But I'll show them a little bit on today's live stream. Maybe I'll even show them today on this live stream here as well. Dan says, who were your top 5 to 10 game designers that you looked up to before you became one yourself? Dan, that's a great question, really. I've started designing games when I was a little kid, when I really didn't know the names of any game designers. In fact, I think that was before they really put the names of game designers on the boxes at all. They were just kind of like productions from a company. So as an adult, when I got back into game design, or I really dabbled in game design my whole life, but when I decided to pursue viticulture in particular, some games/game designers that were inspiring to me were Uwe Rosenberg. Agricola was definitely an inspiration. The designer of Stone Age and Fresco. Let's see who they were. I don't know those designers offhand, but both of those games were an inspiration for for viticulture. So let's see. I should know their names. Bernd Brunhofer is the designer of Stone Age. That was an inspiration for viticulture. And for Fresco, who was the designer of Fresco? A couple of designers: Wolfgang Panning, Marco Ruskowski, and Marcel Subulek. So I was inspired by these people without even really knowing it. Yeah, I'm glad you asked about that. Julie says, who designs the shirts that you sell periodically? We have a few different people who impact the design of our shirts. Sometimes I have a little say in the design. This particular design was something that our web designer, Dave Hewer, came up with a few years ago that we put on our website. In fact, I don't know if we remember to put that on our website today. Yeah, I need to actually send a note. I'll send a note to Dave real quick to have him put the cat ear logo on our website. I don't want to forget about that. I want to do that now. Dave's in the UK, so there's a bit of he'll go to bed before I can get some emails to him. We had a different designer last. I can't remember the designer, but the designer designed last year's Stillmeyer Champion T-shirt, and Joe, my coworker Joe, has an impact on the designs as well. Let me see who else has had. Oh, Miles. Actually, Dave has also impacted the hexagonal design that you've seen on other Champion T-shirts. And Miles Bensky designed the amazing kind of St. Louis amalgamation of all our different themes T-shirt. It's a red T-shirt that we have. Again, a Champion T-shirt. So Stonemeyer Champions every year get a special, or they can buy a special T-shirt that we design for them. And then we have our standard ambassador T-shirt. I think this might be the first time that we've just made a T-shirt for everybody. So yeah, this is your chance to get a Stonemeyer T-shirt if you aren't an ambassador or if you aren't a champion. Rick says, how long before Expeditions is ready for Rolling Realms? Before Expeditions is ready for... So Rick, are you referring to the Expeditions realm? That realm is already fully printed and designed. In fact, we printed it a little bit early before we ended up changing the name to Expeditions for the final game. And so that one it'll ship along with Expeditions, but we do have it ready up. We're just not putting it on our web store until Expeditions actually ships. Let me send this email to Dave real quick. Add the cat-eared logo to the website. Okay, sending that email off to Dave real quick so we can update the website. Ray, good morning, Ray. Ray had a quick question on Between Two Cities Essential Edition, which he received just a few weeks ago. He says, in the rules, it has a list of the city tokens provided, and one of them is the Zollverein mine in Germany. Yes, so Ray's noticing that we listed a certain token in the rules for Between Two Cities, but in the components, there's actually a Colosseum instead. Ray, this is just a kind of a mistake that we made, that I made, actually, where I meant to switch it over to Zollverein because it was a red token and I wanted a red token in the game. There isn't one. But I didn't tell Panda to switch the tokens. So we changed it in the rulebook, but I didn't actually change the separate order for the wooden tokens that were being made. And so it was more like a change that wasn't made rather than a change that was made. But the reason for adding Zollverein, the intention there was to add a red token to the game. And in the latest printing for Between Two Cities, maybe we didn't fix. We should have fixed it in the second printing. So it should have been fixed there. Maybe you were shipped a first printing copy. Depends on maybe where you're located, Ray. Yeah. Jeff says, when do you expect to post information about Design Day? I'm hoping to fly out for the event this year. Jeff, thanks for asking about that. We will. So our Design Day is an annual event that we host at Stonemeyer Games. We host it at Pieces Board Game Bar and Cafe in St. Louis. And it's a day for people to play test their games and also to play test games from a variety of other designers, many of which will end up going on to be published. And some of them are just designed for fun. It happens in late September, early October, typically every year. And we give the first dibs to attend in future years to people who have attended past years. So Jeff will first let people know in probably mid-April who attended in the past that they can sign up for the event. And then if we have slots remaining, we'll go to people who have signed up for a back in stock notification, basically, who have requested that they be notified in the future. So that'll happen next. But Jeff, it'll be public on our website when it happens. We just won't promote it. So I would suggest looking for that if you're interested in attending in like mid to late April. Look for that on our web store and you should find it there. I appreciate your interest in the event. It's fun to see familiar faces, but it's also great to see new people come in and try the event out in every year, pretty much. Kevin says, can I add the Expeditions Realm promo to my pre-order that I already placed for the Expeditions board game? Will those ship around the same time? They'll ship at the same time, Kevin. And yes, that's a great question. So if you want to add stuff to your Expeditions pre-order, and Joe, if he's listening, he can correct me if this is wrong, but the Expeditions pre-orders are due to ship in July or August, probably late July, mid to late July, early August. If you want to add anything to those orders, you can do so. Just send your order number to contact@stellmeyer.com and let that email address, which is maintained by Joe and Dave, let them know what you want to add to your order, and they can do that. Please note that, like, if you want to add the April Fool's stuff, you can do that, but it won't ship until July or August if you're consolidating shipping in that way. And also, if you don't have your order number, sometimes it's tough to dig through your emails to find that. You can just send an email to contact@stellmeyer.com with the email address that you use to place the order. But please specify your region if you do that, because we have 4 different web stores, and it's kind of a scavenger hunt if we have to hunt down which email your order corresponds to. So if you don't have your order number, just let us know your country, and we'll make sure that we look you up in the right place. Lindsay says, have I played Earth yet? She says she likes it a lot. I have pre-ordered Earth. I pre-ordered it when that Great Dice Tower review came out, but I haven't played it yet. Or I haven't received it yet. So I haven't played it. I'm super eager to play it, but I haven't. I think backers are shipping first. I should have been a backer in the first place, but I wasn't. I waited to pre-order, and so kind of just waiting patiently for it for my copy to ship. What else is going on? So April Fool's is kind of the big part of our e-newsletter today. What else is going on? So we have the April Fool stuff. We have the 3 new realms. If you're just popping in now, we have a Biddy and Walter themed realm for Rolling Realms. We have an Isle of Cats themed realm. I just emailed with Frank West about this yesterday. We worked on this a while ago with Frank, so it's been a while since we originally talked about it. And then a mini golf themed realm, which isn't cat themed, but it's so meta to have a realm based on the solo mode in Rolling Realms that we thought we'd put it in there. And of course, the cat ear t-shirt that I'm wearing right now. Also, one fun kind of visual that I thought I'd show is that I filmed a video for Expeditions yesterday to show what endgame scoring looks like. And I have a new device that I use to do this. This is a device that I can kind of awkwardly hold up here. It's from a company called Canvas, and it has a pretty heavy base. I put my phone up here on the top, and this device kind of swivels around in a really nice way so that this part always stays level. So it has the phone pointing down at the table. Everything else that I film, it's pretty heavy, so I'm gonna put it back over here. Everything else that I film, like what I'm doing right now, is on a nice webcam, essentially, on my desktop computer. But people have been asking for playthroughs, and so I saw this device. It was actually recommended to me by Ryan Lockett of Red Raven Games. He has one of these, and yeah, it was fun to play around with. It was very easy to use, I will say. It was a little wobbly, and so I had to put it on a table next to my table. That was maybe the one downside to using this device. The toughest part was actually getting, because I use a PC and my phone is an iPhone, so getting the video from my phone to my computer so I could upload it to YouTube was maybe the biggest hassle part of it. But otherwise, it was a pretty neat device. I'm curious if any of you have ever used a device like that. A camera device that points directly down at the table to film something, which is not something that I have on my computer. Carol says she was playing and teaching Euphoria this past weekend. Thank you for teaching Euphoria, Carol. And she says, I was wondering, have you considered packing the Euphoria expansion into an envelope like the Fantasies and Futures expansion for Tapestry to make it cheaper and possibly to get it back into circulation? Random thought. We had a great time with it tonight. That is an interesting idea, Carol, because it does fit into the Euphoria box. I'm trying to think if there's any... Actually, no, there is a component that probably wouldn't work. It would have to be flat packed very carefully. But there are big, chunky wooden tokens in that expansion. And so if it's all paper, that is feasible. But once you start to add tokens and dice and things that are pretty thick into an expansion, using an envelope becomes a little bit more difficult. So we might look into that. That's an interesting idea if we decide to reprint the expansion at some point. We're still waiting to see how many back-in-stock requests. In fact, let's look on the back-in-stock form right now and see how many people have requested ignorance is bliss to see if it's time to bring that back into stock. I'll do that in a second. All right, let's see how many people have. So this is if you ever see a product that you want us to make or want us to bring to your region if it's not currently there. Oh, they're filtered right now. Joe's always filtering this spreadsheet. I don't want to mess up his filters right now. I won't look it up. I don't like using filters on Google Docs. I like to see everything in real time, but I think he does it so he can keep track of it, everything that's already been. People have already been notified about certain things that are back in stock. But yeah, anyway, if you see something on our web store that is back in stock or that is not in stock that you want to be back in stock, please enter your email there. It isn't a commitment. We won't hold you to that commitment. It's just helpful for us to know when we need to resupply different fulfillment centers or even initiate a reprint of a product that's gone out of stock completely. Ian says, Ian has a comment here about Viticulture Essential Edition. He got to play it. He played a two-handed learning game and then 4 true solo games. He lost the first one and then won 3 straight. Well done, Ian. Down to the final 2 workers. Yeah, it's a surprisingly tight yet simple Automa solo mode. That's actually the only Automa solo mode of our games that I've played. All the others are much more complicated, in my opinion, as someone who doesn't typically play solo games. But yeah, I'm glad you had fun with that, Ian. Thanks for playing. Corey from Blue Falcon mentioned that Miles did the logo for his page as well. Yeah, Miles is a wonderful guy, and I really appreciate all the art that he's created for Red Rising and for the T-shirt. Not this T-shirt, but a previous Stonemaier T-shirt. George says, one idea for our web designer. Have you considered making a ticket support system on the Stonemaier Games website? I just opened a ticket on the Awakened Realms website, and I really enjoy their ticket system they implemented there. It's quite helpful for structure, organization, for issues, and problem solving for people in need. Maybe it would be helpful for Joe instead of replying to thousands of random emails and tracking them down. That is interesting, George. I will mention that. We do have something like that we do already use. So there might be a way to incorporate it into that system. We use something called Jira by a company called Atlassian, and we use that for replacement parts. So if you have a replacement parts request, you shouldn't email Joe. You should just go on a replacement parts form, and that is essentially what you're describing here. It is a ticket request system, but we don't use it for general customer service. But we probably could. Joe, if you're listening right now, let me know if you're listening. Otherwise, I'll let you know later if that would be helpful for you and Dave in particular in doing customer service. I'm just scrolling through looking for questions right now. I wanted to say, I totally forgot about this. I'm doing a Rolling Realms live play today and tomorrow and the next day. One round per day as usual. I also wanted to remind everybody that Rolling Realms Digital is getting pretty close to being ready at this point. So if you're interested in having Rolling Realms as a digital game, it is available on the Steam wish list right now. So you can go to our website if you want to find it. I think you can probably search Steam for Rolling Realms. You can also go to the digital page of our website for Rolling Realms and sign up for the wish list there. That would give the developers working on it a little bit of a morale boost because he's looking to see more people on that wish list. So if you're interested at all in the Rolling Realms digital game, feel free to sign up for a wish list notification there on Steam. Yeah, Dusty found the old cat ear logo. It's the same logo as this, Dusty. It's this logo right here. And Dave, I think, is working on putting it on our website right now. We usually put it up on April Fool's, but because we're doing it a little early this year, I think he was thrown off by that. Mark says, am I open to redesigning the score sheet for Between Two Castles to something more similar to Between Two Cities Essential Edition? I really like how the new score sheet for Between Two Cities looks and is quite easy to write the scores on and write big numbers to easily see the scores. I'm glad you like it, Mark. A lot of people were wondering, like, why is this sheet so big? But as you said, it's so people can see it from across the table. I think that's something that we could consider if we reprint Between Two Castles to redesign that score sheet a little bit to fit the mold that we're using for Between Two Cities. I like that idea. Carol mentioned that she also enjoyed the game Earth. I'm actually going to see the designer, or not the publisher for Earth, Connor. Connor is in town in St. Louis today, so I'm gonna see him a little later today and congratulate him on the early success of Earth. Denny Dean says, where can we find Stonemeyer merch like these t-shirts? So this is our special t-shirt that we just released today, Denny. It's on our web store. So if you go to the Stonemeyer Games web store, you can find this, and you can find the other April Fool's promo realms on the web store. If you're not sure where the web store is, go to stonemaiergames.com and look at shop. And you can pick your region from that shop menu, and you can shop for anything that you want there. We have these in stock in all 4 regions right now. The only, I guess, gamble with the t-shirts is that we already printed the t-shirts. So we have a limited supply of each size of the t-shirt. As usual, if we sell out of your size, just let us know in the back in stock form, and we'll try to make some more. But it's likely that it'll just be a one print run product, unless we have a lot of interest in each size. So if you are curious about the t-shirt, I would recommend going and getting it today or tomorrow or sometime this week. Yeah, that's my recommendation. Frank popped in. I was just mentioning Frank West a little bit ago. Frank West, the Isle of Cats realm. I'm really excited about this. In fact, since Frank is here, I'll show you what the realm looked like. Frank contributed some ideas to the realm. I can't remember, Frank, if you ended up designing the realm or if we did or how it worked, but here is the Isle of Cats realm right here. It says, so you have a little boat here. It says you can either write a number in a box or use a number to mark. Here, I'll hold it up while I'm reading it so you can see it. Here we go. So it says either write a number in a box or use a number to mark a treasure map. You can see some treasure maps on the boat. You can start anywhere. Each further number must be adjacent to a filled box or a marked treasure map. Yeah, so that is the realm for the Isle of Cats. Thank you so much, Frank, for letting us release this realm. I really, really appreciate that. Lindsay says, does that camera device have a light on it? Looks like it would be very useful. It reminds me of those ring lights. It does indeed. Yeah, I'll show this again. So this is it's from Canvas, I believe is the company. You can kind of see it. Here, I don't want to tilt it up too much, but it does have a ring light built into it. I just used natural lighting yesterday when I filmed the expeditions video, but it does have a light built into it. You have to plug it in, but and it has it's an LED light, so you can choose different hues as well. Dan says, have you ever backed a Kickstarter and after playing it, you were disappointed? I see you back a decent amount of Kickstarters. Dan, yeah, I do. I mean, I back and buy and play quite a few games, and I don't know. I try. Disappointed is a word that I could use potentially. There's certainly times where I'm really, really excited about a game, and I get it, and it isn't what I hoped it would be. Either in terms of, like, I didn't maybe read enough about what the design is, what the game actually was, or I thought it was going to give me some experience and it gave me a different experience. Or maybe I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought. But I'm still grateful for having played the game and I'm grateful for the anticipation. I think that's a fun feeling to have, to anticipate something. So I wouldn't say I've ever, I mean, I probably have been disappointed, but I'm more grateful for the work that the publisher and the designer went into it, and I'm glad to have played the game once and learned from it. Maybe filmed a video about my favorite mechanism. I can always find something positive from a playthrough of a game. But yeah, it certainly, many of the games that I play, I only play once because they aren't games that I fall in love with and that I want to play over and over again. That is very common for me. And yet I play a lot of games that are quite good and quite enjoyable, whether they're for me or for somebody else. So like, I'm really excited to play Steam Up. I'm really excited to play Raw. Actually, I know that I'm going to love Raw. I already know the game Raw. I know that I love it. Steam Up, I don't know. I'm excited by it. I think the components look great. And I'm excited to at least play it once and experience it. And even if it isn't a game that I love, I'll be grateful to have it in my collection for a little bit. And then if it doesn't work out, I'll give it to somebody else who might enjoy it more. Dwayne says, have I used screentop.gg? If so, what do you think about it? I just finished uploading a prototype, but I haven't really played any games yet. No, I haven't even, I haven't heard of that, Dwayne. What is that? What is screentop.gg? JB says he just ordered his April Fool's t-shirt, the shirt that I'm wearing here. He says, I really like the cat theme. But the champion t-shirt, when is it usually made available to order? Is it available to UK champions as well? Yeah, it's available. Anything that we ever make is available to all of our regions, worldwide shipping. There are a few countries that we can't ship to, but even for them, you can ship to a forwarding address. But yeah, JB, everything is available worldwide. Our champion t-shirts are usually for September, October. And we actually already have the design for this year's shirt. It involves a reveal that we haven't made yet, so I'm not going to reveal that shirt early, but yeah, usually September, October, around that time. We'll do a poll for champions this summer to see who wants the shirt, and that way we'll know how many to make. That poll is really, really important. So pay attention to your champion newsletter in like June, July, probably. Jay says, will the Rolling Realms digital be available for iOS as well? I hope so. I think it would be a great like mobile game and a tablet game, but the developer started with Steam, so he decided to start with Steam and start there. So I think it depends partially on how it does there and how well he programmed the game to easily port over to iOS and Android potentially. Jay says, also, are there plans to expand the actual solo mini golf for Rolling Realms to include the promos? So we do have a plan for that, Jay. We do have a plan for applying all the different promo realms to the solo mode in Rolling Realms. It isn't exactly through mini golf, but it's something that I'll talk about later this year when it's ready. Okay, so Tim, I think, is looking at the rulebook from Biddy and Walter and has a question about. So I'll show you the Biddy and Walter realm. Here's what the Biddy and Walter realm looks like. It's actually a little bit more of a complex realm here. It says, at the start of every turn, mark an outlined cat craving. Mark an outlined cat craving. So something that the cat is craving based on the dice sum and then gain the resource. So you'll look at the sum of the dice and gain something based on that cat sum. So your cats are either craving like some food, they're craving some toys, or they're craving a nap. Every time you fail to do so for the sums of 3 to 11, outline one grumpy cat. So if you can't outline something, you have to outline a grumpy cat. When you activate, assign a number to outline one, either 1, 2, or 3, or 2, 4, 5, 6 cat cravings. And then at the end of the round, you'll score 6 stars if your cat is perfectly happy. Subtract 1 per grumpy cat. So you're basically trying to avoid marking off the grumpy cats here. And by circling these things in the middle, you're increasing the chances that the rolled dice will result in a grumpy cat. That's basically the idea behind that one. Hilda says that she's loving the t-shirt, excited for the promos. Thank you, Hilda, for checking those out. Mark says, will we see an updated stack of future releases of promo realms for Rolling Realms up on your Instagram this year? I should do that, Mark. I think I took a photo of the new stack the other day. I should have put that on Instagram or something. So yeah, I'll take a revised photo at some point of a new stack to post that for speculation. And I do this reminding me a little bit for April Fools. So we do fun April Fools stuff that is real, right? So these are real products. This isn't a joke. These are real things that you can get on our website. If you decide, and I'll just ask this for Stonemaier Games. You can apply it however you want to other publishers. But if you decide to create something funny for as an April Fool's joke, as related to Stonemaier Games. For example, today on the Wingspan group, there was a picture of a Wingspan expansion with a fox on the cover. Really cute idea. All that I'd ask, though, is that you make it very clear in the description where you post that it is an April Fool's joke. Because you might be surprised by the number of people, if you don't say that, who think it's a real product and will take it out of context and be confused, might share it out of context. So the more that you can do to make it very clear, even if it seems very clear that it's a joke to you, it may not seem that way to somebody else. And it could really confuse someone. So if you decide to make an April Fool's joke, I love April Fool's jokes. I really do. But please make it clear, especially if it's tied to Stonemaier Games, that it is an April Fool's joke. I know this is not a funny, I'm not playing along with a joke to say this, but I think it really does help, because every year I see someone post like a box that they've edited from Stonemaier Games or another publisher to look like something, and it really looks like a nicely polished box. And people absolutely get confused by that, and they think it's real. And sometimes it's offensive. Sometimes it's completely counter to the types of things that a publisher would actually normally make. So just be aware of that something that is very clear to be as a joke to you may not be as clear to somebody else. And I think it's worth making it clear in the post or on the image itself that it is just a joke. It can still be, it's still fun and funny even if you do that. So Dwayne clarified that ScreenTop.gg is a free browser-based platform to play tabletop games digitally. I think it's used more by designers than gamers. Interesting. Okay. And he shared his game here too. Cool. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's cool. Lindsay says she ordered her t-shirt now because she really wants one. She threw in the Rolling Realms too because they all sound fun. Thank you, Lindsay. I really appreciate you doing that. And I look forward to including the new realms in circulation for the live plays starting in around 2 weeks. I think that's when. I mean, some people might. We're going to ship these right away, so some people might actually have it next week. But I usually do the playthroughs every 2 to 3 weeks. Jeff says, I've seen a few YouTube videos where some gamers have enhanced their tables by adding projection effects. Is this something that you've explored? I can see a world not too far in the future where actions on the game table are embellished by projected effects. Scores can be counted automatically and projected in front of you, etc. I haven't seen that, Jeff. That sounds pretty cool. Let me know. Feel free to share a video where you've seen that accomplished in a game, because that does sound really neat, especially if it's screen free, if it has the projection but not a screen that you have to fiddle with during the game. I generally like to keep my game nights screen free if we can avoid it. Although if a game is enhanced by an app, I'm happy to use that app. What else is going on today? Oh, I did a post, some recent post I did. I did a post on Monday about the play and win system that many conventions use that we fully support as a publisher. We send a lot of games to play and win sections at conventions. This is when you go to a convention and you check out a game from the play and win section. You play the game, you write down your name on a little card related to that game. And at the end of the convention, one person is randomly selected to win a copy of a game that they played from the play and win section. I think it's a win-win-win for conventions, publishers, and people who attend the conventions, gamers. I also did a post on Thursday about Brene Brown. I've gone down the rabbit hole of Brene Brown videos and things that she's talked about. I need to read some of her books as well. But she has some pretty incredible ideas about inspiration and motivation and vulnerability. So I wrote about that on Thursday, kind of some highlights from those videos that I watched. Things I've been playing recently, I played Oathsworn. After last Wednesday, I went over and joined my coworkers for a game of Oathsworn. Played Dune Imperium this weekend, played a game of No Thanks, and I played a few games of Star Wars, the deck building game. Lost both of them, but had a blast with both of them from playing from both sides, the Empire and the Rebels. Also did a video this past weekend. My Sunday video was about 15 action systems that I like more than action points. Like action points, when you have an action checklist and the game says, you get to take any 2 actions on your turn. Here are the action points that you have to use on this checklist. I like when that sort of thing is incorporated into the user interface of the game and sometimes gamified a little bit into that user interface. So I have a video about that. And yeah, I think those are all the little notes that I have. So I can focus the rest of the time on your questions. If you have any questions about the April Fool's realms, I'll show you the mini golf realm in a second too. I'm showing you the other 2 realms, but not that one. Let's see. Rob says he really likes the idea of losing stars based on how things play out. I tried something similar in one of his realms. Yeah, that was an example from the Biddy and Walter realm, where if your cat is grumpy, you're going to lose some stars at the end of the round. Nathan says with the change in daylight savings, he can't listen to live anymore, but I'm excited to get the new realms. Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, I guess daylight saving impacts most states, but it happens at different times in different countries. Yeah, it's 10:35 right now in the morning in St. Louis. Jonathan is excited for the new realms, and he's excited to play the new mini golf realm. What an awesome design. Here is the mini golf realm. Let's talk about that one real quick. So this is based on the mini golf solo game in Rolling Realms, but this is not a solo realm. It can be used like any other realm. So it says, choose a lane. Mark its bottommost unmarked par hex, so the par hex, and don't gain anything. Then fill a number of circles from bottom up. You can't use a number that would fill a circle not matching that number or that would overfill a lane. So you need to be precise as you fill up these different lanes. You can't use a number again that would fill a circle not matching that number. When filling a lane's hole, the top circle, so you've dropped the ball in the hole in this golf-themed realm, gain that lane's unmarked par rewards and stars. So this is a slightly more complicated realm. Actually, I have not looked at it in a while, so I'll need to refresh myself when I actually play through it. But and we tried to keep an eye on this a little bit because some of the promo realms are definitely a little bit more complex than the original realms. You have to read them a few times to really understand how they work, even play them a few times. So we try to keep an eye on that and focused when we can on simplicity and elegance. And some of these realms are not just all that simple, but they are a lot of fun once you understand how they're played. So I need to refresh myself on them, but I'm looking forward to playing them in 2 weeks. Kevin says, have I thought about doing any other legacy games? Maybe a legacy game based on one of your properties. I haven't, honestly, Kevin. I haven't. Like it was a joy and a challenge to design Charterstone, the legacy game that I had designed. But I kind of done it. I designed a legacy game. I went through that process. I experienced it, and it's a beast to design a legacy game because every permanent change has a rippling effect on everything else in the game. So that just makes designing a game a huge puzzle opposed to a game that you can just reset and replay. And even on a different level than a campaign game because of the repercussions of permanence, which is inherently tied to what a legacy game is. So it isn't a puzzle I want to revisit at this time. Maybe someday in the distant future I'll have an idea, but it isn't something that I'm pursuing at this time. I am, however, continuing to play legacy games because I really do enjoy them. And this weekend we're going to play some more sessions of Betrayal Legacy. We're slowly working our way through that campaign. Let's see. Yeah, Ian mentioned the Wingspan joke box too, and actually this one threw me off a little bit too, or may have thrown people off because it's not April Fool's Day yet, and even though we're celebrating it at Stonemaier Games, people posting early April Fool's jokes, it's even less clear that it is an April Fool's joke. So again, just label it April Fool's. That can clear up any confusion from the beginning. Chat says, for the second part of the mini golf realm where it says fill a number of circles bottom up, is that the number of circles based on the value of the die? Yeah, whenever we use the term number in Rolling Realms, it's referring to the number of the die that you're using. Yeah. And it is, as Mark points out, thanks to Corel, the living rulebook for Rolling Realms is posted on our website. So Mark included a link to that. Thank you, Mark, for doing that. And we have updated that link today, or Corel updated that link so that you can see clarifications if you need them for the new realms. George says in a few days he's going to a small local convention and he's going to teach 2 Stonemaier games. Thank you so much for doing that, George. I really appreciate that. He says I've been teaching and playing a lot of Rolling Realms lately, and people really like it here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you've gone deep into Rolling Realms and that you're sharing it with other people. I really appreciate that. Corey says he was on Meeples at Sea Cruise recently, and he said some of the favorite new to him games that he played were Age of Steam, Colt Express, Dice Theme Park, and Trekking the National Parks. I have only played Colt Express of those games, Corey, but I'm glad you had a lot of fun with them. Yeah, what was your... I don't know if you don't have to pick a favorite, but do you have a favorite one that you'd recommend to most people from Age of Steam, Dice Theme Park, and Trekking the National Parks? Of those 3? Dan says, am I planning to do another trip to the board game house there in Missouri? So this is the Gamers Ranch. He says, I know it's not cheap, but it looks amazing. I had a lot of fun there. It was amazing. And I am going back this summer with a similar group of friends as the previous year. So yeah, we had a blast there. And it's awesome that there's a disc golf course, like you just walk out the door and you're on the disc golf course, which is amazing. Rob says, is there a possibility of doing another mini golf course with the promo realms and or mixing them in with the original realms? So we are working on something else solo related that takes into account promo realms. So we're working on that and we'll talk about it later this year when it's ready. Kevin says that Charterstone, Clank Legacy, and Aeon's End Legacy are his 3 favorite Legacy experiences. I'm honored that Charterstone is among those 3. He says, I do appreciate the hard work that must go into those designs. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine the work that went into Clank Legacy and Aeon's End Legacy. I played through both of those campaigns, and they're incredible campaigns. And it's like designing like 5 or 6 games all at once, and just playing out the various iterations and branching paths is incredibly difficult to do. I use so many different parts of my brain that I haven't used before when designing Charterstone. Now, I am designing a game right now that I don't know. I can't go too deep into it, but it has like I'm actually almost avoiding persistent elements in the game. There's still consequences, but I'm avoiding persistence because I want players to be able to have a full experience of the game just by sitting down and playing a few hours, and then closing it back up and having a new, fresh experience, but taking the knowledge that they learned. So taking what they learn from exploring this world in the first game and applying it to the next game. So really the only thing that you're carrying over is knowledge. You know the game better, you know the world a little bit better the next time you play. So I'm playing around with that concept right now. Ian says that the trekking series of games, National Parks, World Through History, are great games. Yeah, I've never played any of them. What's would you recommend that I start with the original one? I think it's Trekking the National Parks. Would you recommend that I start with that one or start with a different game in that series? Carol says, did you see that there's a new Clank Legacy coming to Kickstarter in May? I did. Yeah, I did see that. I'm really excited because I love Clank Legacy. I'm still at a point where I'm waiting on so many campaign games to arrive that I'm a little campaigned out for new purchases right now. But it is Clank Legacy. It's one of my favorite campaign slash legacy experiences of all time. So I will be very tempted to try it out and probably will end up getting it. Chad says, I found an OG version of the classic game Java the other day and finally got to play it. He says, Tikal, part of the trilogy of Tikal, Java, and Mexico by Kramer and Kiesling. It did not disappoint. Yeah, that's quite a design team right there between the two of them. What is Java? What's the hook in Java, Chad, that makes it special? Corey says that he personally preferred Age of Steam out of some new games that he played at the Meeple's, what was it, the Meeple's On Board Cruise. But it's got some weight to it if you're not used to playing some heavier games. There's a mechanism in it that can remove you from the game on turn one if you're not careful with your money. Wow, that is brutal. Hopefully you can generally avoid that if you know what the mechanism is and how it works. Josh says, have I seen the Elder Scrolls campaign from Chip Theory Games? It looks great, but the base game is way out of my price range. You know, I saw that at launch yesterday. I hadn't looked into it. It's the type of game that I'm curious about, but that I wouldn't typically go after. Let's see. It's doing very well. Raised nearly $2 million. Well done to Chip Theory there. And let's see what the base game pledge, $195. That is a price. Looks like a lot of hex tiles, chips as normal from Chip Theory Games. I'm sure the components are beautiful. Are they using kind of the dice system from, I'm forgetting the name of their core game. What is their main game from Chip Theory? I don't know why I'm blanking on it. I haven't played it yet. What is the main game from Chip Theory game? Is it using that system of dice? I want to say that is the word one in it. Someone has probably already said it in the comments. What is the name of the main Chip Theory game? Here, Chip Theory Games. Too Many Bones. Not one, it's two. Too Many Bones. Yeah, is it that same system in this Elder Scrolls game? Yeah, I'll have to at least look into it. I want to see what's unique about the game and learn from it a little bit. It looks like a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Scrolling through the GameFound page. I was looking at the Elder Scrolls game that just launched on GameFound recently. So Chad says, Java is also action points. You are building up a board of hexes in 3 dimensions, and you control cities by having your workers be on a higher level than your opponents. A little bit like Santorini, a little bit maybe. There's also an auction mechanism for holding festivals. That sounds cool. Thank you, Philip, for chiming in with Too Many Bones. I appreciate that. Dusty says, the Chip Theory campaign is interesting because they certainly wrapped shipping into the cost. Shipping on the big heavy game is free. Okay, interesting. So they wrapped it all in there. What are their other rewards? So yeah, $195 for the base game, and Dusty said they wrapped shipping into it. And they have an all-in bundle for $400. Wow. Looks like they have a really nice art book there. That looks nice. Lindsay says, do you typically play on a commercially designed game table? Which one? My husband, who's a woodworker, just made us a great table, and it definitely adds to the gameplay experience. That's awesome, Lindsay. I'd love to see what that table looks like. I have a BoardGameTables.com table. I believe I have the Jasper That's the one that I have. And we haven't actually used, so we haven't kept a game under the tabletop lid for a long time because there's a nice puzzle down there that Megan completed. But as soon as we get to a legacy game that we want to leave on the table, we'll put it down underneath the table. In fact, that would be helpful for me to set up. Maybe I'll ask if we can clear that puzzle off because I'm doing so much expeditions filming that it would be nice not to have to undo and take down the game every time I film. I could just leave it out on the table and film a new segment about the game if it's set up there on the table. Paul, scrolling back to look at questions here. Let's see. Trevor says, the cool thing I noticed about the Chip Theory campaign is that you can pay it over 10 months, which is a game changer for higher priced games. That's a good point, Trevor. Yeah, I think that's something that GameFound is either doing or at least enabling for campaigns. They offer that option where you can pay it off over time instead of all at once. Paul says, speaking of price, do you avoid a game becoming too expensive, or are you comfortable making a game to whatever standard it needs to be regardless of price? I notice all your games are very reasonably priced. Thank you for saying that, Paul. I appreciate that. I think some of our games do kind of push that margin with Scythe and Tapestry in particular being very close to $100. My method is I really do take price and value into account when I am creating the game, whether I'm the designer or just the developer / publisher. So I take that into account. In the end, I try to yield on making the best possible game, best possible experience at the table. So we need there to at least be a nice component hook in the game. So if we could replace, like in Wingspan, we have the wooden egg tokens. We could replace them with cardboard tokens, and we could probably lower the price by $5, maybe $10, probably just $5. And so that's nice, but by taking away that $5, I think the value added by the eggs is more than the extra $5 that we have to charge to include the eggs, for example. Might be a little bit more than $5. But that's what I take into account. Like, is this thing worth it for the experience of the game? And if it is, we're going to leave it in there, but all the while keeping an eye on the price that we need to charge based on the cost of the game. So it's constantly part of the formula. There's some push and pull there. Yeah, it really does go back and forth. In fact, we're working on a game right now where we could charge around $80 for the game and include a bunch of fancy stuff in the game. But instead, I think what we're going to do is include one really nice component in the game and other generally nice components, of course, but one like enhanced deluxe component. And then for the other deluxe components that we could add, but they don't add as much to the value that's worth the significant increase in cost, we're going to sell them as a separate add-on. And so that way the core game will be more accessible to more people. And for anyone who orders from us and potentially from retailers too, if they want the extra fancy stuff, they can get that separately as well. Yeah, that's kind of part of the decision process, or one of the options that we have to choose from. Marlene is popping in between meetings, and she says, I just want to say that I really like your video on action point alternatives. Thank you, Marlene, for saying that. It helped me understand more gaming terms and gave me more ways to think about and give words to my experience with games. Thanks, Marlene. And I really have taken your thoughts to heart about trying to explain these core concepts when I talk about them in our videos, rather than just saying worker placement, action selection, drafting, things like that. Hopefully I did an okay job on that video of explaining all those different options in the video. Carol says that she saw an ad for a deluxe Santorini. Yeah, maybe that's in my mind right now. I did see that ad from Roxley Games. So they're coming out with a deluxe Santorini that involves a cooperative mode coming to crowdfunding at some point in the future. Rob says, I know you've mentioned before that you haven't played Stellar. I would highly recommend it as a quick and fun 2-player game that you could play with Megan. It's one of our favorites. Let me see if I have played Stellar. I don't think I have, but let's see what it looks like if it rings a bell. No, I have not played Stellar. Clever card acquisition to create a beautiful display of the night sky. Well, that sounds fun. Looks really beautiful too. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's so beautiful. Yeah, those cards. How many cards are in the game? That looks stunning. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. Thank you for recommending that. Oh, from Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle, they've designed some really great games. Yeah, I see these cards. This is the type of game where I see the cards and I'm like, oh, I want 100 of these cards, not just 16 cards of all the different planets. I want to build a galaxy. Cool. Yeah, thank you for that recommendation. I'll check that out. Ian says, here's an explanation of the trekking games to read later. Oh, It's a long episode. I'll read it. I've got time here, Ian. He says, Trucking the national parks has a lot of the same aspects of Ticket to Ride, but you don't claim routes. You still have to use cards to move around the board. You collect colored stones along the way. You have to figure out when to use the cards to move and claim the ones to save to claim parks. Each card has a number and a color. The numbers help you move. The colored symbol helps you visit parks. At the end, there are bonus points for who has the most and second most of each colored stone. That sounds cool. Thank you, Ian, for sharing that. And then Mark says he's about to test a part of a game that he's designing, and I plan to print it on plain paper. Is it normal in the early part of the design process, or should I use harder paper right away? That's a good question, Mark. I do like using slightly heavier weight paper, up to 80 pounds if you can get it. I think 60 is more commonly available now. I I I think you might be happy to have done that for cards in particular, unless you want to sleeve the cards, which you can do, but it takes a lot of extra time to sleeve the cards. So yeah, I would slightly recommend using that for cards in particular. Everything else can be printed on normal paper though. Dwayne says something different. He said use the cheapest and thinnest unless you're playtesting something publicly. I'm saying this for cards mostly because thin paper for cards, when you cut it down to that small size, it's really, really flimsy. It's really hard, I think, to hold. It's almost impossible to shuffle. But if you add just a little bit of thickness to that paper, it can make a big difference, just for cards. Lindsay says, I think all publishers try to balance that component price pendulum. I think you guys have done a have a good strategy for that. Flex versions and add-ons are a good way to do it. Thank you, Lindsay, for saying that. Yeah, and you're right. Any publisher is looking at that balance of how much value are they offering for the price that they're offering, and that's why you often see different reward levels. You might see a basic pledge level for a game, and you might see a deluxe version because different people want different things. Yeah. Beverly says, I finally added Tuscany to Viticulture a few weeks ago and love it. Thank you for giving Tuscany a try, Beverly. Only problem was finding solo playthroughs on YouTube. It's the only way that I've been able to learn new games. I've only been board gaming for 1 year, starting with Wingspan. Well, thank you for branching out some of our other games, Beverly. And that is good to know about the lack of solo playthroughs for Tuscany. I don't know if you've tried this. You probably have. But if you search for solo playthroughs with Viticulture, sometimes people just play with Tuscany by default. And so you might search for solo Viticulture playthrough and find some that actually do involve Tuscany. I'm going to check our website right now to see what's out there for Tuscany. And if there really aren't any out there, then I can maybe reach out to some content creators to see if they'd be willing to do that. I'm looking at the Tuscany expansion here. Yeah, I have links to reviews on our website on the Tuscany page, but I don't know if none of them are labeled as playthroughs or solo playthroughs. So yeah, I'll make a note of that. I'll make a note about trying to hunt down, if I can find my pencil, about getting a Tuscany solo playthrough. And I'll do a search myself just in case there is one out there that I don't know about. Thank you for mentioning that, Beverly. Josh says, at one point a while ago, I believe you had stated that you generally start MSRP with 7 times the manufacturing cost. We actually start with 5 times the manufacturing cost. Does this still apply today, or has that changed over the years? Josh, so I think other publishers often look at that 7 times multiplier. We start with 5, and we work from there, usually with a discussion with my retailer and distribution team. But yeah, I start with a 5 times manufacturing cost. So that means, like, if we make a game that costs $10, it costs $10 to make, and ideally that's the landed cost. That's $10 to make and get to its destination, get to a fulfillment center or a warehouse. Then the MSRP would typically be 50, which sounds like a giant gap to add. But the reason for that is that distributors typically get a 60 to 65% discount. So a distributor would pay us $20 for that game. So a game that costs us $10 to make and ship, and oftentimes it's a little bit more than that because we push that number, we are getting a profit at best from a distributor sale of $10. And $10, we can either use that $10 to pay for, and I guess typically, actually we're getting $20, but it's $10 in profit. So we've paid for the game with the first $10, so we have $10 of profit, and we can use that to pay the bills at Stonemaier Games, to pay our employees, and to potentially print another print run of that game. And that's why That's one of the reasons why direct sales are so important. Having some direct sales on our websites because the margin is a little bit better there, and we can often also offer a better price to customers on our website and still keep that margin. But it also means that sometimes for certain products, we need to push that 5 times up to a 6 times so that we can maintain a sustainable approach to reprinting the product while still having cash flow to pay the bills. Andre confirmed that he really likes Stellar as well. Well, that makes me even more curious about this game. Rob says he likes the option to upgrade the game if he likes it or really wants it, if he really wants it or really likes it, but also have the option of getting a nice game for an affordable price. We really value that your company gives us those options. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. I think it's also highly subjective as to what affordable is. I think a lot of our games are in the 60 plus range, which might not be affordable for a lot of people, but it is something that we always think about and try to keep in mind. Yeah. In fact, we had a great discussion, I think, on last week's livecast about if you play a $20 game with someone new versus playing a $60 game with someone new, and after you play it, you're like, they're so excited about it. They're fairly new to gaming. They played these 2 new games, and they ask you how much they cost. They're probably much more likely to go out and try that $20 to $25 game, especially if they're a new gamer, because that's a lot more affordable for someone who isn't used to game prices. So I always try to keep that in mind. Like if we have an option to offer a game at a really, really affordable cost, that might be more welcoming for people to get into the hobby. So something that I always try to keep in mind. Oh, Mark, he said that I have played his fan realm for Stellar, the fan realm for Rolling Realms, but I haven't actually played the original game. Mark, that's right. That is right. Okay, that makes me even more excited. I've got to try this game, Stellar. Got to check that out. Okay, Ian has another description. Thank you, Ian, for sharing these descriptions. He says, trekking the world, you travel around the world, but same as national parks, you can also fly between airports. You're still visiting locations and collecting colored cubes this time. You put the cubes on your suitcase with each color, becoming a different souvenir. You get bonuses for whoever has the most of each. That sounds fun. Thank you, Ian, for doing that. Seth says, whoever was talking about prototyping cards, here's his favorite way to do it. He gets 110-pound card stock. He goes thick. And he skips the sleeves or use sleeves but no backing cards. I hardly ever use plain paper for everything, so I have cardstock laying around. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember where mine is, but I'm pretty sure that I use 60 now, maybe 70, but I liked 80 the most, and 110 is pretty thick. That probably feels pretty similar to an actual card, if you can get it to run through your printer. More people are chiming in about how much they love Stellar, so I'm going to check this out. Oh, Ian has one last post. I'll read this afterwards, Ian, about trekking through history. That sounds fun, too. Thank you all for joining me today for this April Fool's celebration. Again, if you're chiming in late, we have 3 new realms based on the mini golf solo game in Rolling Realms, but this isn't a solo realm. The Isle of Cats, thank you to Frank West for letting us publish this, and a realm based on our cats, Biddy and Walter. Thank you for joining me today. Oh, and we have the shirt, the cat-eared shirt that I'm wearing right now. Happy April Fools. We'll continue to celebrate through April Fools itself with 10% of our proceeds from the web store for all products going to 3 cat-themed charities after April 1st. Yeah, thank you for joining me today. I'll put this up on YouTube if you have any other thoughts or questions. And I hope you have a great day and a great April Fool's Day. Take care. Bye.